The 18th of June is a big day in our history. It's the 40th anniversary of the police riot in Orgreave, where striking miners were attacked by rioting police. Miners were beaten up, fitted up, and locked up. We must never ever forget and never forgive. On Saturday the 15th of June, miners and their supporters will march in Sheffield to demand justice and a public inquiry. The miners are making progress. The Labour Manifesto 2024 has promised an inquiry or investigation to find out the truth behind the events at Orgreave. To stand any chance of getting a Labour government to actually deliver, we need to keep up the pressure. So the Labour Left podcast spoke to Mike Jackson, the legendary co-founder of Lesbians and Gays Support the Miners and a veteran of the Orgreave Truth and Justice campaign, to find out exactly what Thatcher's thugs did back in 1984. So, Mike, tell us about the campaign.
The Orgreave Truth and Justice campaign has been going about 10 years now. Orgreave wasn't the only violent policing of the miners' strike, but it was probably the worst one and the biggest one. And so we have had for the last 10 years this campaign essentially asking for a public inquiry into what happened at Orgreave. It was a day, it was a very hot sunny day. The miners who attended the Orgreave coking plant basically was where they converted coal into coke. And by coke, I don't mean white stuff, I mean black stuff. So it was strategically very important to stop the production of coke, because coke was used in power stations to generate electricity. So it's very important to stop the supplies of coke getting out of Orgreave. So a mass picket had already taken place several times at Orgreave. On the 18th of June, another picket was planned. It's a warm, sunny day, being in summer. Most of the miners there with T-shirts on and jeans and just trainers. And a lot of them have said in retrospect, it was really odd when they arrived because the police were actually being very friendly with them. And they weren't used to police being friendly with them at all. And telling them to go and park up there, sir, in that field there, and the rally's going to take part here. They started playing football with the miners, kicking a ball around, and everything was hunky-dory. And then suddenly the miners just realised that they'd been ambushed. And when they looked round in the woods, there were police with dogs. And then they suddenly saw mounted police in full riot gear. All the police have full riot gear on, and they came from every direction whatsoever. So basically, they've been kettled into these fields, and basically the police rioted. It was an absolute wonder nobody was killed that day. Several people were hospitalised. But the travesty of it, 95 people were charged with different charges. Miners were charged. Not a single one of those cases went ever further than the initial appearance in courts, because it was proven that the police corroborated over the evidence. In other words, they made it up. They lied. But that things like that take years for them to come out. Meanwhile, these poor miners had gotten most grievous charges against them. Some of them are many years in prison. And although everybody was acquitted and no charges were pressed, the damage was done. And so that's why we've asked for public inquiry. Now, the narrative that Thatcher and her and the Tories had throughout the miners' strike was violent miners. Well, here we go. Have a public inquiry. If you were correct about the miners being violent, why on earth would the miners or former miners call for a public inquiry? Surely you've got nothing to hide. And yet 3 times consecutive Home Secretaries have turned down the request for a public inquiry.
Thanks for watching. You can find the full Labour Left podcast with the excellent Mike Jackson on YouTube or your favourite podcast platform. Just go to your favoured site and search for Labour Left podcast, and there you'll find Mike Jackson's episode. And whilst you're at it, if you enjoy the show, please give us a like and a follow so you get more of our shows in the future. See you next time.